September 12, 2023, Los Angeles, California. Police officers respond to a call and go to a luxury apartment located in the city center. Upon entering the place, they come across a female body tied up inside a refrigerator. The body belongs to Melissa Mooney, a 31-year-old real estate agent who had not communicated with her family for days. What is up, guys? How are you doing? Welcome back to another video right here on the channel. Thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I'll discuss the Melissa Mooney case which occurred in California, United States. But before starting the video, please leave a like and a comment. It helps me a lot in my work. And for those of you who are just joining the channel, go ahead and subscribe because it helps me even more. So, without further ado, let's get to the video. Melissa Mooney was born on October 16, 1991, and was 31 years old at the time of the events. She was a woman with a promising career and lived in a luxury apartment in the city of Los Angeles, California. Melissa worked as a real estate agent for a large company and had moved to the city of Los Angeles just a month before what happened. She was the sister of a well-known local singer named Jardine Pauline, considered a Guyanese pop star. Melissa was also a model for a while, and still had the intention of one day pursuing a career in that field. According to Melissa's sister, she has always been a dreamer, and always tried to keep the family together. On September 6, 2023, Melissa went out with some friends to a bar, and then stayed with them in her apartment until around 4 a.m. That same day, she made a video call with a cousin, with whom she spoke for a while. After that, she mysteriously disappeared. On September 10th, Melissa's sister became very worried because she was unable to speak to her. The sister then decided to inform the police about the situation and asked them to go to Melissa's apartment to check if everything was okay. Melissa's sister had no contact with her friends in Los Angeles because Melissa had only been in the city for 1 month, and her new friends had not yet been introduced to her sister. Because of this, she called the authorities directly as she did not have the contact details of Melissa's friends. Arriving at the apartment, the police knocked on the door, but there was no response. They thought about breaking down the door to enter the property, however there were no signs of crime in the area, and as a result, they gave up on the idea. Jardine was warned by the police that things in Melissa's apartment seemed to be in order and that her sister would probably give news soon. Jardine tried to contact her sister in the following days, but she was unsuccessful. On September 12th, Melissa's desperate mother contacted the Los Angeles police and asked them to go to her daughter's apartment again, as the family had been unable to speak to her for days. The police officers then went to Melissa's apartment again, and this time, using a spare key to the apartment that was in the possession of the building's management, they entered the property. Once inside the property, the police began to search the area, and apparently everything was normal, except for one thing. In the kitchen, on a counter, there were various foods that should have been stored in the refrigerator. The police found this very strange, and when they looked towards the refrigerator, they saw that there was a pool of blood underneath it. Already expecting the worst, the police opened the refrigerator and inside was the body of Melissa Mooney. Melissa was gagged. Her hands and feet were tied with wires from electronic devices, and there were several marks of aggression on her body. Furthermore, she was half naked, wearing only underwear. After carrying out an examination of the apartment, Melissa's body was taken for an autopsy. According to the medical examiner who examined the victim, Melissa suffered blunt force injuries to her face, head, back, and left arm. For the police, these injuries were the result of a possible fight between the victim and the perpetrator. Although the autopsy did not reveal a clear reason for the death, the medical examiner concluded in the report that it was caused by violence inflicted by another person. A toxicological examination carried out on Melissa's body found traces of alcohol and also another illicit drug. This indicated that perhaps the victim was not completely sober when he was attacked by the criminal. According to sources, there were no signs that Melissa was a victim of forced relations. Based on the autopsy report and other information, the police estimated that the crime occurred in the victim's apartment on September 7th, 5 days before her body was found. Although the crime was violent, the apartment was in order, but Melissa's cell phone, her notebook, and a designer bag were taken. In this case, whoever committed the crime did so for financial reasons. Another thing is that the door to the property was locked, and it wasn't Melissa who locked it, as she was already dead. In other words, the criminal took the trouble to hide the body, get the keys, leave the apartment, and even lock the doors so that if anyone went there, they wouldn't find anything, which is what happened to the first police team that was there. There was still the possibility that the criminal could be someone known to the victim. When authorities informed the family about what happened to Melissa, they were devastated, and if that wasn't enough, the criminal started sending them meaningless messages through Melissa's cell phone. Jordan Pauline, the victim's sister, used her Instagram to vent about the case. In a post, she said that never in a million years did she think she would have to make that post, and asked for justice for her only sister. She said her heart was broken and she couldn't believe Melissa would no longer be with us. Bailey Babb, Melissa's cousin, said Melissa was not the type to not answer her phone, and that when a week passed, they knew something was wrong. According to her, the woman was very close to the family and called them almost every day. The family also said that Melissa was approximately 2 months pregnant. However, authorities said that during the autopsy, this was not confirmed, and they cannot say why the family said such a thing. Images from security cameras installed in Melissa's building showed her walking through the place on September 6th. The images from the following day showed an unidentified man using the victim's key to enter the elevator and then carrying plastic bags into her apartment. Using these images, the police began working to identify this man and subsequently interrogate him. However, while they were investigating the crime against Melissa Mooney, just 2 days later, another crime happened under similar circumstances. The victim this time was a 32-year-old woman named Nicole Coates. Like Melissa, she was also found dead in her apartment, but there were no signs of violence on her body. The apartment in which this second crime occurred is located on Grand Avenue in Los Angeles, approximately 0.62 miles from Melissa's apartment. Police found Nicole's body inside her apartment after the family contacted authorities and informed them that they were unable to speak to the woman, the same way it happened with Melissa. Nicole was also an aspiring model and intended to pursue a career in the field. Her body was found in the apartment's bedroom on top of her bed. As soon as the media became aware of the two cases, they began to speculate that there was a link between them, and that perhaps a single criminal was responsible for both. The authorities, on the other hand, said that there was no physical evidence that the two cases were connected, apart from, of course, small coincidences. They said it was better to wait for investigations and the autopsy report to come to a conclusion. Later, the autopsy report carried out on Nicole Coates' body was ready, and, according to it, the woman suffered an accidental overdose. Considerable quantities of alcohol and other substances that were believed to be illicit were found. These substances, along with alcohol and some medications, would have caused Nicole's death. Nicole's family, however, did not accept this version of the authorities. Her mother said during an interview that it didn't make any sense and that she wanted answers. She also said she was outraged that her daughter's case was no longer being investigated as a crime. Nicole's aunt also said that the authorities' conclusion didn't make sense. According to her, Nicole's body was found with one leg extended, as if the woman was kicking someone to defend herself. Nicole's family has no doubts that she was a victim of a crime and not an accidental overdose, as the authorities have claimed. However, this was the official version, and investigations into Nicole Coates' case were not resumed. Returning to Melissa's case, detectives focused on identifying the unknown man who appears in the camera images from the building where the crime occurred. There were several days of distress and no answers. The residents of the building where Melissa lived were very scared and some even moved out of fear. Police gathered several surveillance videos from the building and later asked for the public's help to help identify the unknown man seen in the images. On November 3, 2023, police arrested a 41-year-old man named Magnus Daniel Humphrey. Magnus was located in Minneapolis and was later sent to Los Angeles. He is believed to have been the perpetrator of the crime against Melissa Mooney. The police discovered that Magnus was living with Melissa in her luxury apartment. It is still unclear what their relationship was, but Melissa welcomed him into her apartment and did not demand anything from the man in return. According to the prosecutor responsible for the case, Melissa opened her home to this individual on the basis of trust and was rewarded by becoming the victim of a brutal crime. According to the prosecutor, the man took advantage of the woman's fragility to commit the crime and even steal some of her belongings. The justice, however, sentenced him to remain detained without bail until his next hearing. In an interview, Melissa's family said they are very pleased that the arrest of the person responsible for the crime has been made. The family also said that they do not know the man and do not know how Melissa met him. Authorities have not revealed the details and evidence that led to Magnus's arrest. They also didn't reveal the possible motivations for the crime, but it's speculated to be financial. Investigations concluded that it was indeed Magnus who placed Melissa's body in her refrigerator while she was gagged and with her hands and feet tied. The man already has a long history of convictions for various crimes in different states in the United States. These crimes include illegal possession of a weapon, assault, harassment of women and fraud. In the state of Illinois, Magnus was charged in September 1999 with aggravated assault, but the case was dropped. He was arrested again in 1999 and 2002 on several charges related to possession of illegal substances, including possession with intent to sell. In Minnesota, Magnus was convicted in August 2009 of second-degree felonious assault, and in May 2013 of third-degree felonious assault. At the same time, he was prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition. He was also charged in 2009 with false imprisonment and aggravated robbery, but those charges were ultimately dismissed. Later in the same year, he was convicted of illegal possession of a firearm. Magnus Humphrey is currently being held in a California prison where he awaits his trial. If he is convicted, he could face a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Folks, that's it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'll be staying around here. A big hug and see you next time.